welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Diane, your lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the Badass Breastfeeder. And today's episode is brought to you by Similary Breast Pumps. And Similary Breast Pumps, with Similary Breast Pumps, your comfort comes first. With the Similary S6 series gentle flow technology, your comfort comes first, like I just said. They're all about comfort, okay, people? So, like, we love Similary. Also, they're back.
Yeah, they're back.
We've worked with them before, and they're back because we love each other so much, and we think they're great. So we'll hear more from Similary later on. But you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give them any of your business because they make this podcast possible. And we are still on Patreon, and we are hoping to see you over there with our original content and our hangouts, and we're having a blast, and you're not there. Some of you are, but not all of you. We just had a baby in Patreon. Two babies. And a baby like not that long ago either. And there's babies, just babies everywhere.
I know.
Yeah, so check out the tiers at the top of the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and join us over there. And we're also hosting our review giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, whether it's written or stars or whatever you can on your app. Send us a screenshot, and we'll send you a goodie bag of thank you for nursing in public cards and stickers and fun stuff. Just send your screenshot and your email or your address over to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's all. I think Diane has our review of the week now.
I do have our review of the week. As an obsessive researcher, I wanted all the information I could get about breastfeeding, so I appreciated the sheer massive number of episodes. You guys, we have over 400 episodes.
I know.
I also appreciate the repetition of information so that it sticks. I gave birth in July of 2024 to a beautiful baby boy. My birth was not ideal, C-section, preeclampsia, HELLP syndrome. If I was not equipped with the information I got here, I'm not sure I would be exclusively breastfeeding now at almost 8 months. I surpassed my 6-month goal. Thank you. Congratulations to you. 8 months is a long time.
That was a really long time.
Yeah, you've done a great job and you surpassed your goal. So I'm wondering if she set another goal. Sometimes people will do that. They'll okay, let me get to 6 months, and then you get to 6 months, and then they're like, okay, let me try to get to a year. So then they, keep going, and who knows how long she's going to end up going. So congratulations.
Yeah. I mean, you think you know when you start, you have no idea.
Oh my gosh.
You have no idea what you're going to want to do.
I was just hoping to get through the next day.
Right. Yeah.
I remember thinking, oh my God, I got to do this for a year. I can't do this for a year. And before you know it, you're at a year.
Yeah.
So you can do it. And she's right. We do have a lot of episodes. So you can pick and choose what you want to listen to.
Yeah.
Today, we've got an email or a message about this episode today, because it's been a while since we've talked about partners, like a long time.
It has been a long time. And I got this message on Instagram, and I thought we could talk about this again. She says, have you done any podcasts or come across any good readings on talking to your partner about continuing breastfeeding? My son is 2.5, and I'd like to continue as long as he's interested. My husband, while pretty supportive to date, brought up again that he'd like to wean, specifically because he thinks it's a crutch for my son, especially related to sleep, and is weird when my son wants to nurse in public, which is not often, but definitely happens when he's overstimulated. My son and I are super close, which I'm sure is partially connected to breastfeeding, while he's not as close to my husband. She says, I don't want to force the breastfeeding at the expense of our relationship, which is already strained from multiple losses and now IVF. So there's a lot going on in this message to talk about. And I think that I feel like there's so much of it that goes on in so many families.
Yeah.
And first of all, the strained relationship. Whether
I was just going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
a lot of relationships, like after you have a baby, are definitely strained.
Yeah.
So if you're going through that, you're not alone.
No. And then she says on top of like, complications, there's miscarriages, there's IVF, there's all that stuff is so stressful. It puts so much stress on your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then, even the most perfect relationship is strained after having a baby because things just change so rapidly and parenting is so stressful. And yeah, I feel like I remember at one point Josh and I describing our relationship like we were bouncers at a club. Like you're just like, all right, you're just like trying to make sure like no one fights.
Yeah.
No one gets hurt.
Everybody's getting along.
Yeah. So I mean that alone, yeah, is hard.
It is really hard. And the other thing with partners too sometimes is that they feel left out, right? Because they don't know what their role is. Especially when you're breastfeeding. They don't know what their role is. They're like, well, I'm not feeding and I'm not the one that's soothing the baby as much. I mean, they can, but I think a lot of partners just feel like they're left out and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And then when the baby, and a lot of times the baby is closer to the breastfeeding parent, right?
Yeah,
so,
I definitely want to talk about that. I want to talk about that a lot. I want to talk about that a lot. But I want to say something first about men feeling or partners feeling left out. I think, this podcast, we realize our shortcomings. We're two white ladies who talk about our, same sex or, our heterosexual relationships. And we realize that that's not every couple. But when you're talking about like, especially like traditional couples, like where, there's the man and the woman and the, this kind of, you're kind of fit into this sort of cookie cutter thing. For that man in that role, things have changed. Like it used to be that you weren't invited. You didn't go, you weren't like at the birth.
Yeah.
You were not a part of any of this. You were just not. And now we want our partners to be there. We partners, we want them to be supportive. We want them to, share emotions and we want them to do all these things, which is great. But then it's also new. So it's like, well, what do I do? If I'm not like, I'm supposed to be here, I'm supposed to be supportive. This baby doesn't really want to be by me. What am I supposed to do? And like, yeah, I can imagine people just feel like they're not sure what their role is. It's like, am I just the garbage man? Which, yeah.
I know. I know. I remember I had one
we're
dad.
We're just the milk. It's like, it's not a glorious time.
No, it's not. But I remember when I was working in the peds office, I had one dad that was like, well, I'm just a diaper changer. And I'm like, but that's an important role. Like that's a need the baby has. Somebody has to change his diaper. And you can bond over that because you're fulfilling a need. So that is a way for you to bond. And, no one wants to be just the diaper changer, but somebody's got to do it. I didn't want to be the only person that could feed, but somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, just like pumping into a bottle so my partner could feed, like, absolutely not. I'm not going through that. No, you can deliver the baby to and from my boob.
Exactly.
But that's what, when you talk about like this partner who feels left out, like the baby is not as attached to them, that's a real thing. The baby's not as attached to you right now. And that's just biological. It's not personal. It's not that you're ugly. It's not that you're, they don't like your voice. It's not about that. It's just that baby's brand new and just came out of this human. And that's just who they feel safest with they're biologically wired to be drawn to the breast. And whoever's got the breasts with the milk coming out is the person that they're going to, they don't have, they just got here. They don't have like the bandwidth to manage all these relationships. They're just trying to survive. They're just trying to suck, swallow, and breathe at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very real. And like, maybe you do feel that. And maybe, I don't know. I think my husband felt it too, but he just was like, here, take the baby.
Yeah.
He's crying, Some people are fine with it. And then others are like, well, I don't know. This is kind of like not what I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But that is so very real, and it's necessary, and it doesn't last forever. Mm-mm. In fact, there is a time where they start to bond with the other parent and maybe even prefer the other parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all just very normal.
It's so normal. I mean, there's so many, and I think that, you really just don't know what to expect. And everybody's so excited about this baby coming that you just don't know what it's going to do to your relationship afterwards. And it's like, you really have to appreciate each other a lot, and you have to try to get through it together, because it can really strain a relationship.
I think this is really this is a time when you really find out if you're friends with your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you have that kind of multi-layered relationship, because there's parts of your relationship that are just kind of aren't going to be used right now. And so are there other parts of your relationship? Not saying that, if it's not going swimmingly, then your relationship is, shallow. Just, it's just kind of interesting to think about that there's different things that you're going to have to get through that are way beyond anything you've ever done before.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely.
There are, I think we've done episodes on kind of like ways to bond without breastfeeding.
I think we've done at least one.
Yeah. Which
I don't know that we've done more than one, but I know we did one.
Here. Yeah. I have some.
There's lots of ways to bond without breastfeeding.
There are.
Like a lot of ways.
There's
a lot of ways.
Yeah. There's there is on my blog on the badassbreastfeeder.com. A dad wrote a blog for me and about bonding with baby. And it's pretty good. He just shares like what it's, things that you do to bond with your baby. Like baby wearing, rocking him to sleep, napping with him on the couch while you're being supervised.
Yeah.
You can, be the sole person who is like in charge of diaper changing and bathing. Let's see, taking care of mom, mom, the breastfeeding parent needs a lot. They need to be fed. They need to be
told they're doing a good job.
Yeah. Just do that.
They need to be also helped along the way, because even though that baby, I mean, it's a lot to feel like you're the only person that can do anything for this baby. And a lot of times the partner goes back to work too. So it really leaves the breastfeeding parent kind of alone trying to navigate everything. And that's hard. I mean, it's hard to be the primary parent, and it's hard to be the partner.
Yeah.
So you got to try to work it out together.
Yeah. I'm going to put this blog post in the show notes. So just scroll down and give this to your partner. It's written by a man. and they can read it. But yeah, and then you have this, because the person who wrote to us, their son is 2.5, but which is a lot older than most babies nurse. And this is where some partners, maybe they were supportive up until this point, and now they're like, don't you think the baby's a little old?
And I mean, I've had some breastfeeding mothers who their partner was like, okay, you're done now at like 6 months.
Yeah. I can't imagine somebody saying that to me. I'd be like, I'm done what? Being married to you?
Yeah, okay. It was a really like, because partners can absolutely go through a postpartum depression phase.
Oh, totally.
They absolutely can. And that's kind of what we thought was going on with this particular partner. And he was very, very much blamed breastfeeding for everything. Ugh. Everything that happened, he blamed breastfeeding. And that was really hard on her because she, had to kind of still muddle through, and he was not supportive at all.
That's awful.
And that was, it was really hard.
Yeah. Should we take a break?
Oh, yeah, we should.
Let's tell everybody about Similry.
How great they are.
Yeah, then we'll keep talking about partners. Today's episode is brought to you by Similry Breast Pumps. Similry Breast Pumps help you personalize your breastfeeding journey. Comfortable pumping sessions should be the norm, not the exception. With the Similry S6 Series Gentle Flow technology, your comfort comes first. With adjustable cycle speed and suction strength in both modes that offer 85 combinations, you can fine-tune pump sessions to what works and feels best for you. A safe choice for everyone, all Similry pump parts and storage bags are phthalate, BPA, and BPS free. With a team of CLCs and free resources for families, Similry gives vital tools for a successful journey. Check out the S6 series and all of Similry's pumps at similrybreastpumps.com. That's CIMILRE breastpumps.com. And check out all their pumps. And I forgot if there is a discount code, actually. So
there must be.
Just hang on. And there will be a discount code with code BADASS. I don't know what that is right now, but I will get back to you. And it will be awesome. But you can use code BADASS. And it could be a surprise.
Yeah.
For now. Just for the moment. And head to Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. Check the show notes. Actually, yeah, it doesn't have to be a surprise because these are pre-recorded, Abby. Yes, just it's code BADASS. Check the show notes right now. Just scroll down to what the discount code is, or discount amount is. And head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com. You can check out our resources, all of our other episodes, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Diane.
Absolutely.
All right. So, what else? I feel like there was something I was going to bring up, and now I can't. Okay, I don't know. Let's talk about this being a crutch. So the partner. This person's partner is worried that breastfeeding is a crutch for their son, especially related to sleep. And we have so many sleep episodes that I hope people can share these too with their partners as needed. There's really no such thing as a crutch for a baby.
That's another thing where, like, it reminds me of when people say they need to self-soothe.
Yes, right.
Let them figure out how to self-soothe, but we know that breastfeeding is self-soothing.
That is self-soothing.
Yes. It is self-soothing. So this parent thinks that the baby won't sleep unless he's breastfeeding. Is that the
I
whole
guess,
idea
yeah.
behind it?
Yeah. Or that they're not learning how to sleep without breastfeeding. They're not learning how to soothe without breastfeeding. So we need to stop breastfeeding so that they can learn how to sleep, which is the exact opposite. They're learning how to put themselves to sleep by breastfeeding to sleep. And we definitely have episodes. I think we have one in particular that's called something about bad habits or like something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We can find it. But this is not true. And I feel like a lot of things that, like, some of this stuff is coming from a place of, feeling left out. Maybe there's some postpartum depression for the partner. And maybe there's just, just like for the rest of us, there's just misunderstanding and a lack of knowledge, lack of information. And they need to be taught these things just like we do. And when, they have to go through the whole, this is unusual, this is taboo kind of thing as much as we do. I remember when Jack was a baby and Jack had been nursing for like a year, and we had such a hard time getting started that once I got to a year, I was just like, well, I'm not stopping now. Like, I'm just going to breastfeed until he weans. And after learning that could really be anywhere between like 2, 3, or 7, and knowing Jack, knowing he, was struggling with like sensory processing stuff and highly, highly sensitive, I was like, he's going to breastfeed till he's 7. I know it. He was 6.5. I was close.
You were so close.
I was really close. But at first I said, I'm just going to let him. And Josh was like, that's weird. I'm not sure. I don't like that. I can't remember what he said, but he was just like, that's too old. And I mean, when you first hear it, especially, living in a country where you've never seen a baby more than 3 months old breastfeeding, or ever, you've never seen anybody breastfeeding. And then you're like, okay, well, here's breastfeeding. Oh, by the way, they'll breastfeed till they're 7. It's a lot to swallow. And he was not into it. And I was just like, well, too bad. This is what's happening. And over time, when I got, I had friends that were breastfeeding toddlers, and he was going to those conventions with me where we were talking to other people about breastfeeding, and he was just kind of exposed more to it. Then he was like, oh yeah, whatever. This is normal. This is good for him. But it was not like that at first.
And most partners don't get exposed to it the way Josh did.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're probably you might just be the only one who's breastfeeding. And to hear that somebody's breastfeeding a toddler that's just really not what you hear about. And, if it's weird, it's taboo, it's kind of like, oh, you're going to do that in front of people? It's weird. People are going to say things. People are going to think we're weird.
Yeah.
You don't want to admit that you're worried about these things, but everybody does.
Everybody does. Everybody worries about it. Not even when they're not toddlers, you worry about it. Because, I mean, how many times have we had parents that have told us, I'm really nervous about breastfeeding in public, and they're talking about a newborn.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about a brand new baby.
And they're worried about it because they're not sure what somebody's going to say to them, or some people are going to be staring at them. And we've got tons of episodes on nursing in public. But then, you finally get comfortable with it, and then you've got a toddler, and you've got to get comfortable with it all over again. Because that's a whole different scenario when you're breastfeeding a toddler in public.
Yeah. And she specifically talks about how he is uncomfortable when their son nurses in public.
Mm-hmm.
When, that's because it's already kind of uncomfortable for you. And then your partner's uncomfortable and your baby's crying. And you know that nursing them will help, and you know you're going to do it because you're just going to. But like your partner sitting next to you doesn't even want you to do it. Ugh, that is just rough, man. That is so rough.
It is.
I really want partners to like understand more like what, I don't know, just like what we're doing. Like my favorite thing right now would not be to breastfeed this screaming child right here. But like, you know, once you have a child, you just like, you're going to do the things that you think are right and that you know are right for your baby no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And your partner can like be helpful or not.
Please choose to be helpful.
Yeah. I don't think my neighbor listens to this podcast. And if I just whisper this part, they won't know. But I have a neighbor. The whole family were very close to, very good friends. And the husband is like, when you first meet him, you would think that he's like kind of like not really into dealing with people's feelings. And she is just like the sweetest person ever. Just the sweetest person. And you're like, how do you two, like, they don't necessarily, you wouldn't expect the two of them to be married. And he's very loud and very like, sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, be quiet. But also love them dearly. They're very good friends. And I remember this was probably when I just crossed the threshold into just like, okay, these are good friends, because she was talking about how when she first had her, I can't remember which child, the first or second, whatever. She was talking about how he was like just so supportive of her nursing in public. Like if you know her, you would know that she would be really nervous about it. And he was just like, it's okay. It's okay. It's totally fine. Just sit. There's a bench right there. You can, like they're at the grocery store or something. And he's like, there's a bench right there. It's okay. You can just sit there and do it. It's fine. Nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares. Like he was just so supportive. And I was like, oh my God, I love him now.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's what you want. Cause you don't, I doubt that there's anybody, probably there's people out there who are super comfortable with nursing in public. Like I was very comfortable with it, but I was never like, oh, I can't wait to pull my shirt down in public and nurse my son out in public. I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. Like I was comfortable with it, but you're also kind of like, okay, it's not ever like the thing you go outside to do.
Right.
It's not like the reason you go outside. You'd probably just rather not. So having somebody who's just kind of adding, anyway, I know I'm going on and on, but yeah.
Yeah, to have somebody that's not supportive of you is really, I mean, where do you go with that?
Yeah, what do
it's
you
really
do?
Hard.
It is hard. And I think like, so things to do. Here's what I think you do. I think that you have conversations about it a lot. About like what you're feeling, what you're hoping, what your goals are for breastfeeding, how you're feeling about breastfeeding in public, say how you're feeling about continuing to nurse and not weaning right now, and just keep talking about these things. And then start giving your partner a lot of information. Like, actually, this is recommended by the World Health Organization. Actually, this is a great way to, provide protection against a lot of diseases for a lifetime, for the baby and for the parent, for the breastfeeding parent. And giving them information about, sleeping, all the stuff that we share on this podcast that we think that we're giving to the breastfeeding people really needs to go to the partners too. They need to know what's going on. They need to know all of these benefits and things as much as you do. And so giving them that information about sleep, giving them that information about breastfeeding beyond infancy, and all the other things that we've talked about. Oh, the blog post that was written by the dad on my blog, and just trying to expose them more of this. And hopefully they're open to it.
Yeah. And remember why you got together in the first place, because you were a couple before you were a family. So consider, all the reasons why you are together with this person, and try to go back to appreciating all of that again as well. And really, communication is going to be the key here. Like Abby said, have those conversations about what the problem is and why you are still breastfeeding and all the important things that go behind that. Because they probably don't know and don't realize.
Yeah. And again, also the whole like feeling like the baby is more bonded to the breastfeeding parent than the partner. I feel like that's something that I've heard multiple times from people.
Yeah.
Who feel like, whose partners are saying like, well, I feel like the baby's not bonding to me. And I feel like, breastfeeding is taking up that space where they could be bonding with me, and like really educating them on like really child development and how the child forms a bond to the birthing parent and will form a bond to the partner at some point as well. But how this is just biologically how they survive, like how they keep themselves alive by being wired to bond with the birthing parent first. Like this is just how, like I said, they don't have, they just got here. They can't manage all these relationships. They can't be like, oh, I'm not giving enough to this relationship. You're feeling, like you're giving more than I am. This is a newborn baby. Like they don't have conscious thoughts like this. They don't. And breastfeeding has nothing to do with it. Really has nothing to do with it. Because you can take the breastfeeding away and that has nothing to do with, it's not like they're going to bond with you faster if you take the breastfeeding away. And bonding with the birthing parent is how they learn to form bonds. And then that bond will shift over to you in not so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about having a baby with somebody, it's not just like you put your sperm and your egg together and you have a baby that kind of looks like both of you. Like you are literally forming this baby's entire psychology with the person you married. And it's kind of cool because the baby's not just going to look like both of you. Like it's going to have been formed, literally formed, his entire psychology formed by bonding with that birthing parent first. And then, shifting and learning that bond, letting that bond shift to you. And that forming of attachment is going to be their basis of attachment for the rest of their lives to anybody that they ever meet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. Learn about it. Let it happen. Watch it happen. And, hopefully you can find some joy in like seeing that happen with your partner.
Yeah. So have the conversations and good luck.
And tell us your stories. We like to read them.
Yeah, if you've been through this podcast and you have words of wisdom for other parents, we'd love to hear it.
And if your partners do, we would love to read some partner experiences too.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.